monopoly is done. Now we can finally play the game. There's no law against scalping tickets in this part of the country, and premium prices have been paid. It is the third Saturday in October, and the show is on one more time in Knoxville, Tennessee.
All right, here we go. 56-yarder. It's got, no, does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game.
They're still in deep trouble in midfield. They tackle it. The ball is still loose as they get it to Rogers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going to the end zone. But the bands are out on the field. There were flags all over the place. The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California.
In trouble in the backfield, wants to throw now, and he's going to go deep. And I mean deep, and I mean touchdown, Florida! Tyree Cleveland in a miracle finish. A Hail Mary that's full of grace for the Gators.
It's a 31-30 game, and what does Nebraska do?
I have not seen the kicker come on the field, and I don't think he's coming on the field. Tom Osborne made this decision a long time ago. He's decided to go for two and take his shot and win, and I commend him for it.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska. Incomplete.
Here come the Seminoles of Florida State, one of the great traditions in college football. And Chief Osceola ready to get it started. College football. A matchup from the state of Florida.
Moody flush, throws it down. Caught by Boston College. I don't believe it.
Buck back, third down on the 8. In trouble. Got a block behind him. Gonna throw on a run, complete to the 25, to the 30. Lindsey's got 35, 40. Lindsey's got 45, 50, 45, 40. Run, Lindsey. 25, 20, 50, 10, 5. Lindsey stop. Lindsey stop. Lindsey stop. Well, I can't believe it. 92 yards, and Lindsey really got in a foot race. I broke my chair. I came right through a chair, a metal steel chair with about a 5-inch cushion. I broke it. The booth came apart. The stadium fell down. Now they do have to renovate this thing. They'll have to rebuild it now. I didn't mean to beg Lindsey to run, but I had to. You know, this game has always been called the world's greatest cocktail party. Do you know what is going to happen here tonight and up at St. Simon's and Jekyll Island and all those places? Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight. 26-21. Dogs on top. We were gone. I gave up. You did too. Miracle.
Armchair.
Good morning, Cover Country. We've got Doug on the way. He should be here momentarily, and the other guys will be on the way. Before we do that, before we talk about the world of football, college football, the NFL, your home for betting, we are also going to start off with some with a little bit of baseball talk. What we're going to do every morning, for those of y'all might be new to the show, is we start here at 8:30 in the morning, right? And 8:30 Eastern. And what we do is we kind of slowly take you to the top of the hour. Once we get to the top of the hour, it's all football. But before that, we're going to talk about the world of baseball leading up. And then, good morning, Barry. And then after that, what we're going to do is anything else that was trending, like last night with the Eagles and the Packers. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into some other scores over because Friday night more and more has been very much so at this point. We are talking about in the fall. used to Friday nights didn't have a whole lot of stuff going on. This year and a few years leading up to it, we've got more and more stuff going on in the world of football, in the world of baseball. So we'll go ahead and dive into it now. And like I said, Doug will be jumping in a second. I just have to keep an eye out for him. Once he pops in, we will get him going as well. All right, so last night, first and foremost, let's get into the Atlanta Braves, talk about what happened last night. We get the win. That's good. Love that. Problem is, the Mets won. They walked it off. I'll tell you something that concerns me. The Mets are finding ways to win games dramatically. Now, granted, you could say if you wanted to go with the half cup, the cup half empty, you could say, well, the Mets blew a lead and then they walked it off and then they hit, but it was a dramatic walk-off home run. And so these types of wins that they're getting time after time after time again, it's really unbelievable at this point where the Mets are finding ways to win, and it does worry you. The thing that I will say on a pushback on that would be the Mets schedule is about to get a lot harder. And if we just keep putting up wins, I think we can outlast them. But the Mets schedule, we went over this yesterday on Braves Country today. The Mets, starting the tail end of next week, 7 of their 10 games are against the Phillies. 3 are in Philadelphia, 4 are in New York. So I guess in some ways, if you're a Mets fan, you're happy about the fact that 4 of them are in New York. But the key to that whole thing is the Mets aren't trying, or excuse me, the Phillies aren't worried about losing the division at this point. They're miles and miles ahead of everybody, and they're basically in the same position that we were last year, where you're just kind of trying to play out the clock. But I do believe that when they go up against the Mets, you're going to see more of a fight in them than you may see in other series, because Rob Thompson, their manager, wants to keep those irons sharp, right? So those next 10 games, or not the next 10 games from here, but the 10 games starting next Friday, they're going to be very key, because you're looking at a stretch where now they will go into Toronto on the first part of the week, and then they go to Philadelphia. And then they come home and they finish off their 7-game homestand with 4 games against Philadelphia. After that, they get a day off, and so does Atlanta, and then they come to the Braves. Talked about this yesterday, but the biggest key to this whole thing right now, if you're looking at tiebreakers and whatnot, if the Braves and Mets end up in a tie, right now they're 5-5 against each other. Couldn't get any closer. But they're 5-5 going into that final series against each other in the last week of the season. So the winner of that series is going to have the tiebreaker. Not necessarily mean the winner of that series is going to win the wild card, but they're going to have the tiebreaker. And so that series is going to be huge. It'll be interesting to see how the Braves manipulate their pitching, because you will have a couple of off days baked into the whole thing, right? So with that being said, we're looking at what the schedule is right now. What the schedule is right now, today we got Toronto, and we got Toronto again on Sunday. And then we've got the weird 1-game play-in on Monday night, and then we head to the Nationals for 2. So this is a key stretch, and you can't overlook the fact how important these games are. Obviously, everyone always talks about it. The games in May are just as important as the games in September. The difference is you know what the games mean in September. So you can say that all you want, but these games are bigger. They're bigger because you know where you are in the standings, whether or not you're Philadelphia, and you can play with your food a little bit, because all you got to do is not collapse down the stretch, and you're going to win the division. The other key with Philadelphia, and we'll talk about here in 1 second, is that they've got bigger picture stuff because they're not just worried about winning the division at this point. It's a much bigger deal for them to make sure that they get the first round bye or whatnot. And we'll get into that here in 1 second. But looking at what the Braves will be doing down the stretch, and I'm just playing this out, and this is a long way off. I understand that there could be injuries. I understand there could be rainouts. There's a lot of things that could play into this. But right now, if you're looking at who the Braves will have set up, so Major League Baseball only goes out till Tuesday's September 17th of where it's showing. But you can go ahead and start figuring out where you're at. So as it would stand right now, if they didn't change anything in the rotation and they just went with the regular starters and not jump anybody on rest, the way it plays out right now, you would have Sale, Morton, and Raylo in that 3-game series against the Mets. Once again, Chris Sale, who can obviously set the tone. Charlie Morton, would you manipulate that one? I think it's fair to say that you might. I think it's fair to say that you might push Charlie Morton back until the Friday night game against Kansas City, and at that point you could do fairly easily, and you could sell it as, well, we're just giving Charlie an extra couple of days of rest, whatever you want to do. But you have Chris Sale, Ronaldo Lopez, and Max Fried. Right now, if you just skip that one start on Monday, September 23rd, it would be Sale, Lopez, and Fried at home against the Mets, and I like my chances. I like my chances a lot. You could also manipulate it as well, where you could have, and you can make a strong argument. I know last night that he threw 7 shutty, but you can make a strong argument that the stuff is better right now. Schwellenbach, Sale, and Raylo, but I think you want Max Fried in there. He's got the experience, and then that would send you with Morton and Schwellenbach for the last 2 games going into the Kansas City series, and then that final day of the season. If you needed it, Chris Sale could pitch. If you didn't, Chris Sale could pitch game 1 of the playoff series that you're about to enter. I think that's the way I would play. I think if I were setting it right now, and I know this is assuming a lot, this is assuming that weather doesn't get involved, that there are no injuries, nothing. But I'm saying if you could set it right now, that's what I would do. I would skip Morton in the start going into the Mets series, push him back to Friday night start against Kansas City, have Schwellenbach pitch Saturday's game, and that would set me up with Chris Sale, Ronaldo Lopez, and Max Fried. So that's what we're looking at right now. And we are heading into this now with the Mets flat-footed tie, and we'll put a cap on that. Now, the big picture we're talking about with Philadelphia, are they going to try to win games? Do they care about this crap? Yeah, they do. And I'll tell you why, because Milwaukee is only, are they straight up? They are, I guess they are 3.5 games in front of Milwaukee for the final spot. Right now, the Philadelphia Phillies have 85 wins. I'm going to simplify it. The Philadelphia Phillies have 85 wins. LA has 84. Milwaukee, 81. The Philadelphia Phillies are going to want to make sure that they've got the bye. So they're going to continue to play in that Mets series, that final Mets series that Philadelphia has. It's not going to come so late in the season that they would start resting players, right? They're still going to have a week to do all that. So they're going to keep their iron sharp. So I do think Philly's going to put their best foot forward. They may not put their best starting pitching out there because they're dealing with some injuries and fatigue. see what we got here. Garrett's birthday is today. Happy birthday, Garrett. Man, there are a lot of birthdays in Braves country at this part. I mean, obviously we all have birthdays, but but at this part of the calendar, this is the 3rd or 4th this week. Mine's on Monday, and I think we've got a couple of more coming up. So happy birthday, Garrett. 27 today. I'm assuming that you're telling the truth on that one. You know, there's some of us that would like to say we're 27. Anyways, I've been 27 for a while. So, with all that being said, Doug is undefeated when it comes to not knowing how to work technology. Anyways, back to what I was saying with Philadelphia, they're going to keep putting the pedal to the metal. They're absolutely going to keep putting the pedal to the metal because they are looking at beating, especially teams like the Mets. And I don't think it's the rivalry of, we're going to make sure the Mets aren't in the playoffs tonight. It's not that. It's the fact that they know that these are games they're going to continue to sharpen their irons. So I like the fact that the Mets are going to be playing. The Mets have to finish the season off, by the way, at the Brewers, and we talked about this yesterday on Braves Country Today. But the Brewers, they could be in a dogfight trying to get that final bye. B, the Brewers at the most would rest guys on that final game on Sunday. So the schedule plays to the Braves, but they just got to take advantage of it. They've got to take advantage of it because we went through all the attrition and all the injuries and all just the knockdown drag out of a schedule that we've had this year. So that when we got to the back half of the season, going into September, advantage Braves. We have one series left that I would consider us being an underdog in. Where I don't even know if we would be an underdog, but it'd be a pick'em. And that would be the 4-game series against the Dodgers, but it is in Atlanta. So you look at that and you understand it. And by the way, I don't know if we have a bad starter right now, but the only bad starter, the worst starter that we have would be Charlie Morton. He's pitching pretty damn well. Last several outings, he is scheduled to pitch in that Dodgers series, but I don't think they're going to manipulate it. They're not going to manipulate it worrying about the Dodgers series. They're just going to try to win every single game they can. But at the very end, like I was saying, going to that Mets series, you could manipulate it where Chris Sale pitches that Tuesday, so on and so forth. Yeah, Garrett says the Mets' upcoming schedule is brutal. It is, Garrett. It is absolutely brutal. But I'll tell you what, compared to past years, they've been extremely impressive. Extremely impressive. And it really is dumbfounding how a team like the Mets, who in years and years and years past, excuse me one second, I want to make sure that I've actually sent something I may not have. In years past, the Mets have fallen apart. They've meted, as we say, right? They've always meted. And what I'm looking at here is the Mets this year, and I don't know if it's because they got rid of guys like DeGrom. I don't know if they've gotten rid of guys like Scherzer. I don't know if it's because guys like Verlander are gone, where they are the same thing over and over again. They kept falling apart at the end, right? Sorry, I'm trying to send email links and talk to y'all at the same time. But anyways, Doug is jumping in here in a second. But but I don't know if that's why, but the Mets this year, they feel like a ragtag bunch, an underappreciated, overachieving bunch. And that's not been the Mets brand the last few years. The Mets brand has been what? It's been, well, here they go again. Highest payroll in baseball, stinking it up. This year, here's Doug. This year, it feels like that the Mets are actually playing above their head, and I just hope that the brutal schedule at the end is going to be what does it to them. Good morning, Doug. How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, Garrett says they're finally starting to use their farm instead of trying to buy a World Series. They've done that, and the other thing that I've noticed about the Mets more than anything else is that they have done a really good job of putting pieces together with their new front office, especially down the stretch, but they've put pieces together that have worked in with the culture of their clubhouse. Guys like Vientos, I believe he's the one that hit the walk-off last night. Guys like, his name's escaping me, but the guy that they got in the trade from Washington, who I really wanted, the left fielder. Doug, basically talking about some baseball, and as you're jumping here in the middle of it, the Mets, to me, don't feel like the same Mets team that they have been in years past. What say you?
I agree. They're not. I don't think they're close to what they used to be.
To me, they feel like a team that I still think the schedule is going to get them because they played a very easy schedule in the middle half of their season, whereas the Braves played a more difficult schedule in that middle part. And that's not why the Braves have struggled. The Braves have struggled because their damn offense stinks. But I do believe this is where it's going to come home to roost. Just talked about it a second ago, Doug. But starting next Friday, 7 of 10 games are against the Phillies for the Mets. They're also going to go to Toronto on Monday, and we're playing Toronto right now, and they're not a great team per se, but they're a much more difficult team in Toronto.
Yes. And
they also have to finish the season at the Braves and at the Brewers. I have confidence that the Mets we're going to have a tip of the cap at the end, but we are going to outlast them. We're going to be like, man, I'll tell you what, man, y'all were impressive. Y'all aren't the same old Mets, but we got you in the end. But next year might be a lot different.
Yeah, but things could be a lot different for the Braves too by next.
They absolutely will. The Braves are going to be a much better team next year when you talk about getting Strider back, getting Acuna back. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. We have been decimated by injuries. I don't know if we've been hit the hardest by injuries, but no one's been hit harder this year. And we've kind of escaped that in years past. We've had a massive injury here and there, like when Acuna went down in 21. And the pitching staff really fell apart at the very end. But going into October, we were pretty damn healthy. And then the pitching staff just absolutely fell apart, and we somehow won the World Series. So what I'm saying is that it can still be done, but you just got to punch your ticket. You got to get in. I keep seeing all these fans day after day, game after game, trying to tell me that, and it's usually right after a loss. Oh, the season's over. Hang it up. You'll see it in the chat. We're done. We're cooked. I'm like, dude, we still have a seat at the table right now. And the other big thing about that, for people who may just be joining us, the Braves and Mets are tied at 5 apiece in the season series. They got that 3-game series in Atlanta. That's going to be the tiebreaker. Whoever wins that series will have the tiebreaker. So it's going to be absolutely. Garrett says no expectations helps a lot. I don't know if he's talking about us as Braves fans now or if he's talking about the Mets. Right. I think he's talking about the Mets this year. But yeah, regardless, their culture to me has changed in that clubhouse, and we can no longer just assume that they're going to get the win. But anyways, real quick, back to what I was talking about. Philadelphia is going to continue to play tough because they only have a 4-game lead in the win column on the Brewers and a 1-game lead in the win column on the Dodgers, which means not only do they want that bye, but I do think they do want the 1 seed, right? Why would you not want the 1 seed? If you can get the 1 seed, you're going to grab the 1 seed. With that being said, if Atlanta, let's say it all ended today and we had the tiebreak on the Mets and the Mets are out, the Braves would start on the road in Milwaukee, which is going to be a mighty task because that bullpen's lights out. But if we were to win, we would actually dodge the Phillies because we would be the seed going to play the 2 seed in the Dodgers, and we would play the Phillies if we both got there in the NLCS. And I'll tell you what, I think there's a lot of baseball people that really want to see that. They want to see the NLCS showdown, a true 7-game series, not this 5-game nonsense between the Braves and Phillies. And I'll tell you what, the Dodgers don't worry me as much as the Phillies because I don't think the Dodgers have the pitching. I think this is a year where they know they're kind of hamstrung with what they can do with their pitching staff because they know they've got Ohtani coming back next year into the pitching staff, right? They should have Glasnow ready to roll. He may pitch this year, but they've been real kind of iffy on that. But next year's the year for the Dodgers. This year is the build-up year. They hope to do well. They're going to be in the playoffs. So what say you on that before we turn over to the National Football League?
In the end, Dodgers spend a lot of money and they choke. So I absolutely don't fear with the Dodgers at all. They choke all the time.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's the choke this year. I think they're not going to have the depth in the pitching, right? And to me, that's the biggest thing in baseball is the depth in pitching. Welcome in Steven onto the show as we switch gears. And Steve, what about that game last night, man? Eagles, Packers. Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I mean, I kind of feel bad for Packers fans. It looks like Jordan Love may be done. Do you think he tore his something in his knee or?
Man, I have no earthly idea. I believe it or not, they didn't send me the imaging, so I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, there were a lot of people saying there was a visible pop.
Great, I'll tell you that. But you never know if it was just a sprain. You don't know if they're being precautionary, but it didn't look great that they were carrying him off the field. I will agree with you on that.
Well, they still got a list as
has anyone on that, by the way, or not? Morning, Bobby.
Good morning.
Has any news come out on Jordan Love, or is it still up in the air?
Not since last night, but
yeah, go ahead.
But he went from being out to day-to-day right now.
That's good.
Well,
I saw all I've seen so far is some Twitter doctors commenting on what it could be, but nothing serious.
Well, just to be clear to everyone, we're not doctors, but we do play it on YouTube. He's done. He's done. Chop his leg off. I'm telling you, this is the Braves injury. They're there. Chop his leg off. Go ahead and just donate it to science. He's cooked. You're like, dude, he just tripped going up the steps. I don't care. It's over. All right. By the way, did anyone have any action on the game last night?
Nah, I didn't have any money on that one.
Nah, not too much.
Oh, I did. But I did. We see. I mean, I'm off to a really hot start on this show and then on the Friday show. But last night, it wasn't one of my picks, but I did a teaser on that. I'm actually shocked that Green Bay didn't win that game. And that damn turnover that they had late in the game that kind of flipped the score, that was the killer for them.
Yeah.
And what about Philly coming this close to screwing around and fumbling on the tush push down on the goal line at the end? Holy crap, would Twitter be on fire? Because if he fumbles that ball and Green Bay jumps on it, they only need a field goal to beat them. I couldn't believe that they didn't just kneel on it and then kick the field goal.
Yeah.
I mean, it can almost be argued that these first two games, the team that lost played the better game. So I mean, the whole night, it felt like on Thursday, it felt like Baltimore was just they were gonna come back and win, and I mean, they were a big toe away from having that 2-point conversion chance to win it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that game I didn't get to see as much until the second half because of the Braves game. It actually ended pretty early last night, so I was able to. I mean, honest engine, I wasn't catching until the second half on that. But the biggest thing that I took away from that Chiefs Ravens game was, once again, there's a reason why Mahomes is Mahomes, and Jackson just isn't quite there yet, right? Like, he's gonna find a way to beat him every single time, and Lamar Jackson, I think you can put the whole thing into one play. Lamar Jackson misses a wide open Zay Flowers in the end zone at the end of the game. Mahomes doesn't miss that throw. Now I get it. Likely's foot was barely out of bounds. Some people were arguing that his toe hit the paint. But that's the difference between the two teams, is that if that ball is thrown by Mahomes, not only does he probably find Kelsey, but Kelsey catches the damn thing, right? Kelsey if in the back of the end zone, Kelsey probably toe taps and gets in, whereas Likely just came down. Like, it didn't even enter into Likely's mind to get his toes down. He just came down where he was, and that to me is the difference between those two right now.
Well, I mean, the difference, right, is also Patrick Mahomes would have hit Zay Flowers for the touchdown the play before, so that Likely play wouldn't have even mattered.
Yeah.
Are you having?
I think that can be said.
I literally just said that. I literally just said that. Anyways,
I think that can be said is the difference between the Chiefs and any other team. I mean, you see every year the Bills fall short. They're just a step ahead of everyone else.
So yeah, these are our numbers right now. We'll put them back on the screen in a little bit, but just to give people an idea of locks. The reason why I have more picks is because I do the Friday picks and whatnot. But what we look at is win percentages, and we're trying to keep our numbers alive for the year. And so the stupid underdog pick, Bobby, I noticed I didn't even realize it until I went to calculate it that you're stupid underdog at it as well.
Yeah, Nevada, they pulled off the win. It was a close one. I think they won by like 2 points.
If anybody's wondering, I'm wearing black today because I'm in mourning. Florida State football
season.
Oh, it's trash. It is absolutely terrible.
We're not the worst team in Florida. How about it?
Well, I wouldn't go that far yet. I wouldn't go that far yet. You got a long way to go. You got smoke at home. I wouldn't go there yet, but I guess we'll all find out as we run into each other. But the good news is we can still ruin some people's seasons, and in theory, you could run the table and win the conference, but that's so damn far. I want to see him get one win before I even worry about that nonsense. But once again, both games I hit on the under. Both games. I'm telling you, this is a team that's going to try to run like hell, and until the market adjusts, realize the Florida State under is going to be the play, because they don't trust DJU. I don't think DJU trusts DJU. I mean, this guy's missing wide open passes. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
That game last week was horrible. I
don't know if it's accurate, but to miss some of these passes, I mean, it's not just the one that he missed in the back of the end zone that would have changed the game dramatically. The guy's wide open. He literally overthrows him by 15 yards out of the back of the end zone on a 15-yard pass. Like, how is that possible? But then it's a little swing passes to the tailbacks coming out, and he's like zipping them like he's trying to pull a fastball by him. And like, dude, you know this guy's on your team, right? You want him to catch this ball. You're not trying to trick him. You're not trying to throw a changeup and then zip one in, high heat. Anyways,
yeah, that was dreadful. I started to feel bad for him, and I usually don't.
Screw that.
Feel that way for rival teams. It's just I know the thrashing he was gonna get from social.
You're damn right he is. He's trash.
And I'm not saying he didn't deserve it.
He's awful.
But the human side of me came out for a Florida State player, and I've never felt that before.
That's funny.
It was dreadful.
Garrett said that Isaiah Likely should have wore white cleats.
That's what Mahomes said in the thing too. Ravens fans.
I think he's got a point, man. I think teams ought to think about wearing the white cleats because they're never going to paint the back of the end zone dark, right? So,
that's been said plenty of times before. It's not a bad idea.
I mean, until they tell you can't wear white cleats, why not do it? And I mean white top to bottom. Look like some New Balances out there, man. Just like you're semi-retired. It's a little strange that in this day we haven't thought about the fact that the back of the end zone probably shouldn't be white, that it probably should be a color that you can definitely differentiate from any shoe. But anyways. All right. So the technically week 2 of college football, week 1 of the NFL. Steven, what is your big game that you're looking for?
I mean, as a Dolphins fan, it's going to be Miami versus Jacksonville. Not only because of that, but I mean, you got 2 of the top young quarterbacks in the league, and Tua and Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Lawrence had a kind of off year, but he has no ceiling with how good he can be. That offense should be good. Dolphins are missing a few pieces on defense, like namely Bradley Chubb. So they're going to have some trouble getting after him. I love the upside in that game. It's going to be fireworks, points galore. Kind of like last year, I believe it was Dolphins Chargers, and it was something like 37-34. I could see something like that. It's going to be a great game.
Bobby, what's the one big game that you're excited for this weekend?
I'll leave the primetime NFL games alone, and I'll look at Texans Colts at noon tomorrow. I think these are going to be the 2 teams battling it out for the AFC South. I think the Jaguars could be in the mix, but with how much promise the Colts showed last year with Gardner Minshew, I think they'll be a level above that with Anthony Richardson. And the Texans, I'm expecting a really big year out of them. I think they can take the leap into being serious contenders in the AFC. CJ Stroud was incredible last year, and I would like to see how he follows that up this year.
Doug, what say you? What's the one big game?
Big game. Raiders and the Raiders Chargers. You've got Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers. Is he going to be as good a coach? Are the Chargers actually better with him? And with the Raiders, Antonio Pierce. I think the first 5 games of the season, actually this one, is going to be a referendum if he's actually worth being a head coach. Because if it goes off the rails against the Chargers, it's not going to be pretty.
Well, I guess I'm going to take the lead on this. Texas, Michigan, man. I mean, that one jumped out. I mean, good God, that's the noon game. I want to see how good Michigan still is. I also want to see what can Texas do going into Michigan. The environment. We all know it's going to be a tough environment. What will that game look like? I'm leaning towards the under on that, but probably more on a tease. But Michigan, they're going to want to control the ball. They're going to be a lot like Florida State, but more competent. They're going to want to control the ball and not controlling the ball by throwing 1-yard screen passes behind the line of scrimmage and getting sacked. I'm talking about controlling the ball, running, keeping yourself in front of the chains. I'm excited about that game. And obviously the Tennessee NC State game has my interest. I don't think NC State is as bad as it looked in week 1 where they got out with a narrow victory. I think they might have been looking ahead to Tennessee. I do believe Tennessee is the play, but I do 9.5 points is a lot of points to give up on the road. And there's a reason why NC State started the season off in the top 25. They've got a lot of guys coming back. They last year were a team, they were a gritty bunch that tended to stay in games. But I can't wait to watch Amalivia in that environment. His first real test in college football. By the way, Garrett says Panthers Saints. I assume he's a Panthers fan. Go Panthers, keep pounding. That one to me is interesting. I was listening to a couple of the early morning shows that they're actually layovers from last night, but there's some quote unquote experts out there in the desert that think that the Panthers can actually get that win. I've got to see it to believe it, because they're on the road in New Orleans and it's always a difficult environment. But I'm always open-minded at the beginning of the season when I hear people's takes, and a lot of it was all not just the personnel, but also the coaching changes that the Carolina's brought in. And I think a lot of it too is just a disbelief in Allen and in Carr being able to move the ball.
No, I could definitely see that. I'm really tempted to take Carolina, at least like the points. I'm not sure if I'm going to go money line, but I think the line's at 4 points right now. I could see him keeping it close. We've seen the Saints fumble this situation plenty of times.
And the Panthers got quite a bit better on offense over the offseason. I mean, they added Xavier Legette, Deontay Johnson. They improved the O-line a ton. So that could be a team that comes out there and puts up some points to the board and makes it tough on the Saints.
I think it's going to be a slobber knocker. I think it's going to be a game where you're going to be looking at best case scenario, low 20s, worst case scenario. I'm talking about from the fans' perspective, 13-10. But it's a game where both teams' defenses are pretty stout.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina's defense will be better this year. I don't know if we're going to call it stout, but it's better this year. And I just don't know where the points going to come from New Orleans this year, because Kamara's got a foot in the grave. Olave's about it on that offense, which is why I wanted to. I got him in a couple leagues, mainly because I figured, well, this is going to a team that's going to on most weeks going to stink. They're going to have to chuck it. And I figure he's going to get around 10 targets a game. Let's see, checking the line for you, Steven, real quick. You said it was 4. Yeah, that's where it's at. 4 over under 41.5. So
Carolina Panthers +4.
By the way, Carolina +170 if you want to take them.
It is tempting.
That's real tempting. I want to get Steven's take on this one. Steven, heard some experts thinking that Jacksonville is going to go into Miami and beat the Dolphins. And these weren't local Jacksonville knuckleheads. Like, these were actual guys out in Vegas who, as far as I know, don't have a dog in the hunt. Are you concerned about that? Because I have a totally different take on that. I kind of figure Miami's going to mash Jacksonville to the point where Jacksonville's not going to be able to keep up. I mean, the over-under is 48.5.
I mean, it's both are realistic scenarios. I think that like it's realistic. Dolphins could go out there and win by 17 points, and Jacksonville could go out there and win by 7. Dolphins are missing players on defense. They're still trying to get a little bit more healthy on offense, and they have a lot of new players trying to get into the system. New defensive coordinator, new defensive system. There could be some hiccups early in the season. I could 100% see that.
Okay, Bobby, we didn't go over this, but is there any way you can either I don't think you're a member on our channel, but can you go into our Facebook and put our picks in as we go? Or
yeah, sure.
Or Steven, I don't expect Doug to even know what Facebook is.
Yeah. What's the name of it?
Doug's like, what are you talking about? I thought we were live on MySpace this morning. Braves Country Radio.
Gotcha. And we haven't rattled off any picks yet, have we?
No. That's I just wanted to. We always have someone putting it in, but with the way we're doing it now, I figure it's better to put it in the Facebook channel, because this will go live on YouTube to the public right as soon as the show ends. But while we're going live, you can only see it if you're a member. But I don't know what the rules are as far as, Lynn, if you put something in the damn chat now, will it stay there and all that junk?
Yeah.
When it comes to the membership. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our college football picks. The college football picks, we're each doing 3 every single Saturday, 3 NFL. From time to time, someone wants to grab 4 on one end and 2. That's fine, but we want to keep it around the 3 and 3. That's what we're shooting for. And yes, we can double up on them. If Doug takes a game and Steven takes a game, it's not going to null them out, because I want y'all to pick the ones y'all feel the best about. I don't want y'all to just scramble and go, oh, screw it, I'll take the over on the Colts Texans, whatever, and not had done any research on it. So going into this season, we are 64.7% on the win rate over the last decade. It's a lot of picks, but pretty proud of that. And we would have to have a disaster to fall below 60. Anything above 60, you are in high cotton in this industry. All right, let me go and put this on the screen real quick. Just give everybody an idea of where we're at. So the locks we do at the very end, which that's the one in the middle. The 6-pack is what we're doing. That's on the far right. The stupid underdog picks, we'll explain that when we get to that. But those are the one on the far left, and then we do those at the end as well. All right, so give you an idea of where we're at, and put you back there. All right, so it doesn't matter who goes first, but we'll start with I guess Steven. What picks you got for today?
No, like first pick, I'm looking at the Memphis Troy game. The over under and not the over under. The spread in that game I think is around 18 points. I'm leaning Memphis there, but the bet I want to take in that game is Memphis team total over 37.5. They have one of the probably top 20 offense in the Power 5 conference. Troy lost their head coach coming into the season. They have a new offensive system. Lost a lot of talent coming into the season. I think this Memphis offense could run crazy on them today.
I can't wait to see that. That's Florida State's next opponent next Saturday.
That was 37.5.
Memphis.
Have fun. It was a part of the whole Mike Norvell leaving Memphis and coming to Florida State, so they gave him a game so basically to fatten their wallet. Yeah, it's going to be a problem.
That was over 37.5.
Yeah,
Memphis team total over 37.5. Doug, what is your first college pick?
Actually, ironically, the Troy game, but I'm going in the opposite direction. Over under is what? 19. What is it? 19. And you were saying 37. I'm taking Troy plus 19 on this game. One reason I'm with this is because I think Memphis is going to be really looking ahead to next week with Florida State. So I can see this one as an upset. And Troy is a little bit better. I know Steven's correct about the head coach and everything, but Troy is a better football than people think.
Bobby, the line on Doug's is actually 18.5.
18.5, okay.
We always go off the ESPN thing, and I don't know what it is about Doug, but he can't figure that one out.
Well, I can't figure it out when I can't look at ESPN here.
Maybe refresh it. I don't know. But anyways, we go on the live pick at the time. Anyways, not a big deal. So 18.5. I mean, for your sake, hopefully that doesn't even come down to anything. Hopefully they only lose by 17 or whatever. All right. So Bobby, what you got on your first?
My first pick, I'm gonna go Arkansas, Oklahoma State over 61.5 total points. Both teams lit up the scoreboard in week 1. Arkansas, they went well over that in week 1.
What time is that game?
I think that's one of the early games. I believe that's at noon. I'll double check that for you though. Both teams.
Okay. If y'all can give us the times too, just kind of helps with everyone, because a lot of people who are making their bets, they're going through the apps and it's stacked on the times. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and if you've ever done that college football betting on any of these apps, I mean, you open it Saturday morning and there's a list this long of games. You're like, where the hell is it? So that's the reasoning for it. Yeah. So you're going to take Arkansas plus 10?
No, Arkansas, Oklahoma State over 61.5 total.
Oh, I'm sorry. Over 61.5. I was doing two things at once. Over 61.5. That's an interesting one because Arkansas, the first game, I know they weren't tested, but they did look better in the first game. And Oklahoma State, a lot of folks have them winning the Big 12. So that's an interesting one. My first one, I'm going to go with, let me take the Georgia Tech Syracuse game. That is a noon kickoff. Let me double check before I misspeak. Yeah, it's still 61.5. Give me the under of Georgia Tech 61.5. It seems too high to me. I get that Georgia Tech put some points on the board last week, and so did Syracuse, but they were going against also-rans. When we saw Georgia Tech last against Florida State, they were trying to run that ball, and I think that's what they're going to do. Georgia Tech, by the way, ranked number 23 in the country now. So give me the under on 61.5. What I really like in this game, but I don't want to do a ton of teasers, but I like taking Georgia Tech and the under on a teaser because it would give you Georgia Tech anywhere between a field goal plus and take the over under to 68.5, 67.5, somewhere in that neighborhood. But I just in that dome in Syracuse at noon, it seems like those are clunky games anyways. So there's no scientific reason behind that second part, but I feel like every time I watch a Syracuse game at noon, you turn on at the end and it's 9-6 and they're heading to the fourth quarter and you're like, what the hell happened? Steven, you're next.
So I'm going to go to one of the night games, and when I'm saying night, I'm talking 10:30 Eastern.
Yeah, man.
Mississippi State plus 6.5 over Arizona State.
Back.
Oh, don't even get me started on that UCLA Hawaii game. That was TV football.
I was watching that with you. That was terrible. Oh my God. Y'all should have been here trying to listen to me and Steven do the math on how it could possibly get to the over. I mean, we're talking about there's like 4 minutes left. Well, if it just goes to overtime and we get several overtimes, we're there. That was pathetic. So I'm sorry to catch off. What spread are you going with? 10:30 Eastern, Mississippi State?
Yeah, Mississippi State plus 6.5. They're going into Arizona State. Sun Devils have never beaten an SEC opponent. They did look good last week against Wyoming, but Mississippi State also looked good last week. Arizona State is also a team coming off of back-to-back 3-9 seasons. And I'm
showing 5.5 on ESPN. Is that what you're showing?
It must have.
I just refreshed it a little bit ago.
If it's 5.5, then it must have just changed. But yeah, so it was 6.5 like 20 minutes ago.
Jeez. So someone must have been on that as well.
Yeah, 5.5. I'm still taking it.
Okay. I want to make sure that there's not something wrong with my thing because Doug had a different number. I just want to make sure I'm not on some pirate site.
That's probably what I'm on.
What is this? It's asking me if I'm lonely. Should I click? See. So Mississippi State plus 5.5. I like it. I mean, SEC versus whatever the hell Arizona State's considered nowadays. Like in my head, it's still Pac-12, right? Go finish your thought on the reasoning, Steven. Sorry.
Oh no, I was already done.
Oh, okay, my bad. So who is next around this corner? Is it Doug? Doug, what you got, sir?
Got a game that probably nobody cares about, but I do. But it's Clemson and Appalachian State this week.
Yeah, baby. Now we're talking turkey. What time is it?
I think game.
I'm pretty sure it's 8 because I might have.
It's 8 o'clock. Yeah, it's 8 o'clock tonight.
It's not one of my locks, but it's one of my locks if you get my drift. What you like in that?
I'm looking for an upset with Appalachian State. I think Appalachian State is dangerous against Clemson. Clemson's got no identity after the bruising they did last week, and Appalachian State is a school that when they play big schools, they play big. They almost beat Miami last year. If everybody remembers their upset of A&M 2 years ago. So over and under on this.
Appalachian State was infamous for a win. I was looking at this game last night. It's got to be around the 20-year anniversary when they upset Michigan.
Yeah.
04, it might have been 05-ish, but it was somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yep.
And because that's one thing I love about Appalachian State, that coach has his team. They just have this attitude. It doesn't matter who you are, where we play. Appalachian State is a school that, if you ask them nice enough, they'll come over to Dave's house and play for beer and snacks. They just have that attitude. They don't care who you are, how big a school you are. So, over under in this over under the spread is what, half, and I'll take Appalachian plus 16 on
16.5 is what I'm showing right now.
half. Yeah.
Okay, so you're taking App State plus 16.5.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm gonna go ahead. You know what? I'll go ahead and since we're talking about it, I'll go ahead and make this one of my locks. I'm gonna take the under on the App State team total. It's 17.5, and that Clemson defense impressed the hell out of me against Georgia. And for people who didn't watch the game, that was a game until late in the game where Clemson wore down, but also they were taking unnecessary risks. They were never going to come back in that game, so it inflated. Clemson was a 2-touchdown loss to Georgia, but it looked much worse because they kept doing stupid things at the end. So give me App State to score under 17.5. And I'm not saying that App State can't cover the spread. I'm not saying App State may not shock them, but I don't know. But they may beat them 17-14. I like the idea of taking App State on the 17-14. Or excuse me, App State taking under 17.5 team total just because it's in Clemson. It's a night game. I don't think App State, unless really stupid things happen for Clemson offensively, which isn't out of the realm of possibility. I like that play. So third pick of this would go to Bobby.
Yeah, I'm on my second pick.
Fourth.
I'm on my second pick, but yeah, I got I got Texas.
I meant the third person, Bobby, not the third. But
well, you went third.
I know. I cleaned
it
up as you were talking.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead.
All right, I got Texas minus 6.5 in the big game today at noon in Ann Arbor. I think Michigan, they're in a shaky spot. Texas looked really good week one. Arch Manning looked great. I know it was against a cupcake opponent, but they still came out there and did they handled business. They did what they needed to do. And yeah, I just think Michigan's in a shaky spot. I think they're vulnerable for a loss right now, and Texas is playing red hot, so I think they're going to go in there and cover that spread. I got Texas minus 6.5.
Texas minus 6.5. That key number, I like it. I'm a little surprised.
And it was at minus 7 this morning in my notes, and I was iffy on it. I saw it at minus 6.5 now, and I had to get it.
It almost changed my Appalachian. I was honestly what I was on the fence for, and I won't make the pick now if anybody wants it, but I was going to do the teaser of Texas, 6-point teaser, because that's all we do on the show, 6-point teasers of Texas, teasing it down to a half point and then getting the over under up to, what would that be, 47.5. So Texas just has to win and keeping her 47.5, but I ended up going with the App State thing. All right, the last pick here in the college rounds. We got to speed this up. Steven, what you got?
I'm gonna have to back Bobby on the Texas minus 6.5. I was waffling, but Michigan they just did not look like anywhere near the same team, and I think Texas is more than playoff bound this season.
I like it, Doug. What you got?
I guess great minds think alike. I think if I got Michigan winning this football game, I think this is going to be a tale of two different weeks.
Okay. So are you taking Michigan in the points?
Yeah, Michigan in the points. Yep.
All right. We got the first. I got to come up with a sound clip for that, but the first head knocking where half the guys are saying this, half the guys are saying that. I'm on the fence on that one, to be honest with you. It's the environment that I worry about with Texas, and I also worry about Texas doing Texas type things that they've done in the past. But my last pick, I'm going to take the Tennessee Volunteers to score over 34.5 points. It's the team total for today, 34.5 points. I think Tennessee is going to score some points. I think they're probably going to give some points up, but I'm leaning on the fact that I think Tennessee will have to score because NC State's going to have to score. So I kind of expect a shootout tonight. Give me Tennessee over 34.5. The next thing we have, if Steven, if you got it.
I got one more pick. I'll rattle it off quick.
Bobby, I got to go last because I'll forget this rotation if I don't go last. What you got?
I got Tennessee -9. I think I'm in the same boat with you. I think they're going to put up a lot of points. I'm a big fan of Nico. I think he's legit, and I think they're going to go out there and prove a point. I think they'll win. I'm going to leave it.
I'm going to leave you.
He's going to leave. He's going to leave an NC State fan sad.
I'm going to leave you when the NIL is better at Notre Dame. Yeah. All right, Steven, do you have your DFS pick for the week?
I do.
What you got, bud?
So I'm going to play a little bit safe this week. It's week 1. I try to build up my bankroll a little bit before I start taking the big shots. So the stack I'm going to be going with this week are the Indianapolis Colts facing Houston Texans. Anthony Richardson was one of the top quarterbacks last season when he was healthy. He's at 6,300. And I'm going to be pairing him with Michael Pittman at 6,800. I think he's due for a massive breakout season as long as Richardson can stay on the field. And in that game, I'm running it back with Nico Collins. He's still CJ Stroud's number 1 target. I think he's going to see a lot of work in this game trying to keep up. My running backs, I'm going with James Cook at 6,900 at home against Arizona. Sorry, Bobby, but with Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis gone, this offense may run through James Cook outside of Josh Allen. Jerome Ford is my other running back at 5,500. He's kind of in a similar scenario. No Nick Chubb. I think that I think he's going to get probably 75-80% of the work. And at that price, it's incredible. My other receiver, Andre Yostavis, I think he's from Cincinnati. He's at minimum price right now. You have Jamar Chase is questionable for the game, and if he's going to play, it's going to be on a snap count. T. Higgins is just listed as doubtful. He should see a ton of work this week, and especially min price. I love the upside. My tight end is Trey McBride, 6,100. Marvin Harrison is going to be the focus of the Buffalo defense, and Buffalo, like they did lose a lot of linebackers. They're kind of weak in that area of the field. I love McBride to kind of just work in that open area while they focus on Marvin Harrison. Josh Palmer at 5,200 against Las Vegas. He's going to be Herbert's number 1 target. There's still a lot of question marks in that Las Vegas secondary. And he has a deep threat. You only need a couple, one big shot to pay off salary. And then my defense is the Chargers defense at 2,900. We know with one thing that Jim Harbaugh is going to have a disciplined team with Gardner Minshew and a quarterback for Vegas. We don't know how that's going to look. And I like the Chargers defense to get after him and force some turnovers.
All right, Bobby, do you have anything to add to that?
I like the McBride pick. I know the Bills probably going to struggle against tight ends this year. Their linebacker and safety room is very, very weak. So of course I like that pick because he's a Cardinal, but I also think that's a really smart pick. And I think James Cook probably will carve us up. But I think the Bills will see a lot of success through the air. So I don't know how much they'll go to him on the ground, but I do think the Cardinals defense is weak everywhere. So yes, James Cook will have a monster day.
Why is it everything always come back to the Cardinals fans?
You asked me, you knew it was coming.
Oh man,
I did that McBride pick is really good though, and I like that Bengals receiver. I can't pronounce his name, but I do love that pick because you're getting good value with how much volume he'll get. With Chase saying he said he'll be on a snap count for some reason. I don't know why he said that to the media, and then T. Higgins being out. That's a good pick.
Doug, do you have anything to add on that before we go to the NFL picks?
The only thing I add is I think the Raiders secondary is a little bit better. I think I don't think the Chargers are going to be as great as people think. But yeah, Gardner Minshew is going to be the kind of the question mark in this game. In that game, anyway.
Gotcha. Okay, well, we'll move on. I don't really have any. Oh Lord, yeah, I'm definitely not. I'm trying to go to DraftKings and the thing's asking me for two-step identification. I was like, never mind. Ain't got time for all that nonsense. Are you still doing DraftKings nowadays, Steven, or do you have a different preferred?
No, DraftKings is my main side. I do play some on FanDuel, but no, it's mostly DraftKings for me.
By the way, have you heard any news about a different book coming into Florida?
Nope.
Really?
That's not happening anytime soon.
Really is dumbfounding. I mean, can we get it by next season? Can we get it by March Madness? Can we get it by March Madness? How the hell does one book have a monopoly? Right? It's strange. We need multiple books because it's going to open up the betting market. The biggest winner is going to be the consumer, right? Because you're going to start getting folks competing for your dollar.
Which is why it's not going to happen anytime soon. This is Florida.
But typically Florida is going to be your open market, right? It's not like it's California or Michigan or something, but they have got a stranglehold legally, and you would think that somebody could crack that, even if it's a totally different Indian tribe, right? Somebody. Hell, I'm 1/16. Let's start a book, baby. And y'all got any engine in you? We'll go out there. We'll do it. Back in the money might be a problem, but we'll do it. All right, let's go ahead and go into the world of the National Football League. By the way, before we jump over to the NFL and the stupid underdogs, anyone have any last thoughts on the college football market before we switch gears?
Mm-mm.
Not counting stupid underdog. We'll do that towards the end.
I think I'm good.
Okay. I got one other one that I didn't mention that I do want to keep an eye on is the South Carolina-Kentucky game. I don't know if I'm actually going to put money on it, but I'm curiouser and curiouser about those two teams meeting and how sloppy of a game it may be.
Mm.
And if my memories are, I think it's a 3:30 kickoff. I think that is they're billing it as the beginning to SEC play, which is is that a stretch? But that believe that it was originally set up for 3:30 kickoff. I don't see it on here. It is. Yeah. 3:30 ABC. It's going to take me a while to get used to ABC doing the SEC, but it's 8.5 point spread. Kentucky's the favorite, and the over under is 41.5. Typically, I believe that if you have an 8.5 point spread and a low over under, you're usually pretty well off. Go ahead and grabbing the underdog because it's going to be a low scoring game. It increases the chance that if it's a low scoring game that 8.5 is going to be enough to cover. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I what I'm more interested, this is just from a personal, this isn't doing, is sprinkling a little on that plus 270 money line with the South Carolina Gamecocks, baby. Let's go. Get the caboose going. What about that? And it's not out of the realm of possibility. Look at Cal. They're plus 360 in Auburn.
Mm.
I know Auburn blew out their high school team that they played in week 1. But if you were ever going to overlook somebody, it would be Auburn hosting California going, who is this? California's coming here? Is there a protest this weekend? Why is it Cal Berkeley coming to the campus, right? I'm just like, if there's ever a time you're like, I don't know. All right. I might be throwing some pizza money on a Cal South Carolina money line parlay upset. All right, let's go to the National Football League. We got to go hot and heavy here as we got about 20 minutes till the top of the hour. All right, so we'll start off with our picks. See, how do I have this set up so I don't screw everybody up? All right, so we'll do the NFL picks, and then we'll go into our stupid underdogs and our locks. Your locks can be one of your 6-packs. So just for people who may have never tuned in before, or someone with a drinking problem like Doug that may forget, you can pick a total of 7 games, or you can just pick 6 and go, this one right here is my lock, right? So just to clarify folks on that. All right, let's get into it. Steven went first last time. We will give it to Dougie Fresh. What you got? What's your first NFL pick of the day?
My first one is a game that nobody cares about, but I find it intriguing. It's the Vikings and the Giants. You got the over and under, which I believe is 41.5. I think and that's going to be my lock too, as I call it. It's going to be way over. You got these two teams have probably the worst secondaries in football, so I see this being a really high-scoring game. So
I like it as well. It's not one of my picks, but I'm definitely keeping an eye on it for tomorrow morning. I've actually got it jotted down. Also like the Vikings team total over of 21.5. I think people are massively underestimating what that Vikings offense can do because a rookie got injured. A rookie quarterback got injured. Sam Darnold has actually looked good in the preseason. He's actually looked good from time to time. I think if anybody can get the best out of Sam Darnold, it's KO up there in Minnesota.
And realistically, I mean, he would have been starting anyways week 1. So what difference does it make?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I guess they could have started McCarthy. I get it, but probably not.
No.
I mean, that's the whole reason why they brought in Darnold.
Yeah. Darnold. And also with the Vikings, I was going to say, considering what they had last year, anything is an improvement. Anything is a plug-and-play improvement for the Vikings, whether it be McCarthy had started or not. So I don't know why they're underestimating. I mean, this is also a game I would just throw out. If I were to parlay pick this game, because the numbers for individuals on this team, I think, are a lot lower. Like they got Sam Donaldson at what, 227.5 passing. They've got Jefferson at 98. I would parlay that pick with 2, and maybe take one of the Giants, like Robinson. They don't have a tight end with the Giants, so I could see him getting a lot of work playing those 3 picks, because I think it pays 4 or 5 to 1 anyway.
Okay, next pickup, we'll give it to Bobby. Bobby, what you got?
All right, I'll start us off. I'm going to go, it was the game I said is the game I'm paying the most attention to this weekend in the NFL. Texans-Colts. I'm going to go Texans -3. I think the betting odds for them, their season total, their spread in this game, I just think they're being underestimated a little bit. I think they're a real contender in the AFC. I think they're the best team in the AFC South, and I think they're going to show it. And I think Anthony Richardson, he's going to be shaking the rust off. He had a season-ending injury last year. Might be a little bit of he's still having to adjust to the NFL level. So I think the Texans are going to go out there and win, probably by about a touchdown, but I'll easily take Texans -3.
Steven, what you got?
I'm going to go bold here on my first pick. Washington Commanders +3.5 over Tampa. Buccaneers did win the NFC South last year, but
I ain't watching this. You're going to get an angry look?
I mean, I'm not as confident. I mean, like, they're going to score some points, but they did not do anything to address how bad that defense was last year. They were a massive pass funnel. Jaden Daniels comes in. He's got massive upside. He's got Terry McLaurin to throw to. Austin Eckler is on the team now, so he'll have a nice dump off option. I think there's going to be some points, and I think they're going to keep it within a field goal at the very least.
All right. My first pick is going to be the Carolina Panthers under 19.5 team total. You might want to wait till tomorrow. I think it's been trending to go up. I believe this is going to be a slobber knocker. I don't think this is going to be a very high scoring game. So give me Carolina under 19.5. Not saying they can't win the game, but if they win the game, I think it's going to be ball control. It's going to be both teams are going to be playing not to lose, and that usually ends up in a very low scoring game. Give me the Panthers under 19.5 team total. Doug, back to you.
My second, Raiders and Chargers. Chargers are favored by what was half, I believe. I'm taking the Raiders +3. I think this game, honestly, I think this game's going to be lose its first game anyway, and that goes for both teams. And the Raiders have always kind of had a mystique over the Chargers anyway. whatever generation of teams are playing. So I take the Raiders plus 3.5.
I'm getting +3 on the on the
It's 3 now.
yeah.
Okay.
Unless it's changed again. I try to refresh it every few minutes, but Bobby, what you got?
My next one, I'm going to go to the Cardinals-Bills game, and don't worry, there won't be any homer bias. I'm going to go with the over 47.5 total points. I think this game is going to be just crazy high scoring. I think that line's really low. The Cardinals, their secondary is terrible. The Bills, they have a horrible safety core, horrible linebacker core. So Trey McBride, I think he's going to feast against them. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to do his thing, I think. And then the Bills, they're going to dominate through the air as well and on the ground. That Cardinals defense is just horrendous. And both offenses have a lot of firepower. So I think it's going to be a really high-scoring game. I think they'll clear 47.5 by a pretty wide margin.
All right. And for folks who might be listening on radio, if you tune in to the YouTube channel or our Facebook channel, Braves Country Radio, it's called both on either one, you can see these picks being put in the chat. And it doesn't matter which one you're on because I'm putting it on the screen as Bobby types them in. So that was kind of the idea of why I got Bobby typing them in. Steven, what you got, brother?
You're gonna like this one, McGee, or you're gonna hate it just for the jinx factor. Give me Tennessee plus 3.5.
Oh wow.
I believe in time that Caleb Williams and the Bears will be good, but it is week 1. He did not look overly good in the offseason. And Titans did it. They did a lot to add to their team. They got L'Jarius Sneed, one of the top corners in the league. They added Tony Pollard to that offense, Calvin Ridley, and we know that Will Levis is not afraid to take a deep shot. He had one of the highest average at the targets last year in the league. I think Titans have a real chance to win this game.
Man, speaking of that, and I had it set up, I just don't know what I did with the note. God dog it, I'm never going to remember it.
I think that rookie quarterbacks in their week 1 debut are like 0-14-1 all time.
Let me go. I have
maybe not all time, but in the last 15 at least.
Is it this one?
Coming out of retirement.
Whoa, what?
Yeah.
Buddy, I don't know who you are. You're about to get chlamydia.
Steven, you sent me the text yesterday about who was it that got the clap and is out for the game? Is it today's game?
Oh, that was not that was just a troll.
Oh, I thought it was.
Got it. I thought it was too. I found it this morning. It was Ollie Gordon for Oklahoma State.
Oh well,
that's hilarious.
In my world, it's true. Is he even out for today's game?
No, he's playing.
Oh, damn it! He sent me that, and it was like right in the middle of my broadcast. So I can't read it all. I just want to go, oh, that's gold, baby. That's gold. And just as you sent me it couldn't have been 2 minutes later. We played the clip during the commercials during the baseball game, and that popped up. I was like, I got to remember what number that was. It's the very beginning of the clip, and it's not in our system where it's like showing this is the clap clip or anything like that. It was just numbered. I was like, I got to jot that down. I jotted it down. I don't know what the hell I did with it. All right. So my second pick, I think we talked about this earlier. Give me the Vikings over 21.5 team total. I think that that's going to be a game that's going to go up and down. And once again, I just don't think that the Giants could have possibly fixed their defense over the offseason. So give me that. I like the total over in the game too, but my pick's going to be Vikings over 21.5. All right. Back to, is it Bobby next or is it Doug?
Doug.
I think it's next.
Doug, what you got?
I got one here. Atlanta. Don't underestimate Atlanta's ability to just screw up a good thing. So I think Pittsburgh's defense is going to play strong, and I got for plus, I think it's 2.5.
I think you're actually getting a better number because let me see. It's actually Steelers plus 3.5.
Oh, 3.5 then, yeah. Yep.
I don't know what
Yeah,
time. I don't know
but
what.
don't underestimate his ability to screw it up.
I don't know what time zone your ESPN app is in, but it's always off. Bobby,
that point is huge, though. That point is huge for Doug because
it's enormous.
The Falcons win by a field goal.
What you got, Bobby?
My last one, I got a player prop. I got Jackson Smith and Jigba of the Seattle Seahawks going over 43.5 receiving yards against the Broncos. Their cornerback, too, is Riley Moss. I think it's going to be a rough day for him. I think DK Metcalf, he's going to have a tough time with Pat Surtain, and that'll free up JSN to have a monster day. 43.5.
43.5 yards.
Okay. Yeah.
Steven, what you got?
My last pick, give me the under 41.5 for the Cleveland and Dallas game. It's going to be windy out there. We have two of the top 10 defenses in the league. Deshaun Watson he was not good last year, and I do not believe in that offense. Under 41.5 for that Cleveland Dallas game.
All right, and my final one, I'm going to go ahead and take Jacksonville plus the 3.5. I still think Miami wins that game. I'm really leaning towards the over, but I just feel like this game's going to come down to the wire. Usually these first games are. If you're going to give me a field goal in the hook, I feel like it's going to be enough to at least hang around there. The one I was looking at, but I talked myself out of it, was the over in the Tennessee-Chicago game. I just have those two teams fix their defenses. I get it. We got problems on the quarterback side on both teams, but have those two teams fixed their defenses? I'm probably going to sprinkle something on that, but my pick will be Jacksonville plus 3.5. All right, let's dive into it. We have a short time to do it and a long time to get there. Stupid underdog picks, locks. Everybody, what is your lock of the week? Doug, I think you said that your lock is going to be what?
Take the Vikings Giants game. Take the over under is 41. I'm taking the over on it. That's my lock.
My lock is Cardinals Bills over 47.5 total points.
Steven, what is your lock?
My lock is going to be Tennessee plus 3.5. I think they're going to win this week.
I mean, you were really putting the kiss to death on us. Smoochy. I'm going to go with, I think my lock is going to be the Georgia Tech Syracuse game, the under in the 61.5. I really like that number today. And I was debating on that, but it's really between that and the App State one. But I feel like I talked way too much about that App State one that I might have jinxed it. So give me the lock for Georgia Tech Syracuse, grabbing the under. All right. Stupid underdog picks. Stupid underdog picks means you pick an underdog to win outright. You get those points, as I'll put the picture back up where we are at in the standings. And stupid underdog picks, if you don't cover the spread on the underdog, you get the -2, which is what you see with Doug and Steven. If you cover the spread, you would get a +2. If you win outright, you get the points that they were underdogs. So last week, I got 13.5, got lucky with the Vanderbilt game. Bobby, the same with the Nevada game. So that's why the numbers are what they are. And we'll explain this every week, but we've been doing this for a while. I think it's my favorite one, not just because we named it after Big E, who passed away, that was a member of our show years ago, but because I grew up listening to this in my very late teens, early 20s in Middle Tennessee, Nashville radio. George Plaster and his crew used to do this, and I always thought it was a great idea. I'm surprised more shows don't do it. All right, so the rule is on the stupid underdogs, if you pick someone, nobody else can have it. And so the teams with the lowest point total, meaning Doug and Steven with the -2, they get the first nod. I'm going to put a number between 1 and 5 to break the tie here between Doug and Steven. Doug, give me a number between 1 and 5 off the top of your head.
3.
Steven.
4.
The number was 2. So I guess that means Doug. All right. That's the only way I know how to break that without, breaking out some kind of, dice or Ouija board or something. Okay. Doug, what's your stupid underdog, sir?
Stupid underdog is I'm picking Michigan to win that game. I think we discussed it earlier at +6.
What's the number
or
now?
whatever. What is the number now?
I think you're right. I think it was 6.5. But let me
6.5 is what we had earlier.
Yeah. What it still is? It is. Yep, still 6.5. All right, Steven, what you got?
I was tempted to swing for the fences with App State, but I'm going to stick with Mississippi State +5.5.
Okay, and that was also one of Steven's picks as well as Doug. So, all right, so +5.5 on that one. And Bobby, what do you got?
I'm at a comfortable point with my points right here, so I will swing for the fences. Give me Clemson or App State +16.5 versus Clemson.
Yes. Good job, Bobby. I love it.
Yes.
What's the number again? 16.5?
16.5.
16.5. Yep. And for me, stupid underdog. So that one I had written down. Give me Kennesaw State, baby. 14.5 point dogs. Give me the Kennesaw State, whatever the hell they are. I've made a lot of money off the Kennesaw State's basketball team. So it jumped out at me. What the hell? Why not give me Kennesaw State? Bobby, one big thing as we walk it off.
If you're actually, you know what? I'm going to revisit that Texas-Michigan game. I'm going to say Texas is going to go into Ann Arbor, and they're going to pick up a statement win over Michigan. That's going to be the first big win on their resume. I think they're going to go in and have a comfortable win today.
Steven, what's your one big thing?
Dolphins are going to win big. Jalen Waddle is going to score a touchdown. He's +140.
Doug, your one big thing.
Georgia Tech's a fraud. Syracuse is stomp on them all day.
Easy.
What does that make Florida State?
Exactly. We're not a fraud. That's where nobody's hyping us anymore. My one big thing today is the Tennessee NC State game. It's going to be a nail biter. I do think Tennessee's going to prevail, but Tennessee fans don't take this game lightly. That is a weird, tough place to play in, and it's a night game. That always adds to NC State. I think it's going to be a nail biter. Tennessee very well may spit the bit, but I do believe they're going to prevail. Just keep it locked in, Tennessee fans. This isn't a walk to the park. Y'all have a great one. We'll see you next Saturday. Everyone in Radio Land, bye-bye, and we'll see you on the flip side, 8:30 every Saturday morning.
We are live in Tallahassee, the capital of the great state of Florida.
Hyperbole is done. Now we can finally play the game. There's no law against scalping tickets in this part of the country, and premium prices have been paid.
It is the third Saturday in October, and the show is on one more time in Knoxville, Tennessee.
All right, here we go. 56-yarder. Does not have the leg. And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game.
They're still in deep trouble at midfield. They tackle him. The ball is still loose as they get it to Rogers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going into the end zone. But the bands are out on the field. There were flags all over the place. The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California.
In trouble in the backfield, wants to throw now, and he's going to go deep. And I mean deep, and I mean touchdown, Florida!
Tyree Cleveland in a miracle finish. A Hail Mary that's full of grace for the Gators.
It's a 31-30 game, and what are
they doing? I have not seen the kicker come on the field, and I don't think he's coming on the field. Tom Osborne made this decision a long time ago. He's decided to go for two and take his shot and win, and I commend him for it.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska. Incomplete. of Florida State. One of the great traditions in college football. And Chief Osceola ready to get it started. College football. A matchup from the state of Florida. Moody flush, throws it down. Caught by Boston College. I don't believe it.
Buck back, third down on the 8. In trouble. Got a block behind him. Gonna throw and a run. Complete to the 25. To the 30. Lindsey's got 35-40. Lindsey's got 45-50. 45-40. Run, Lindsey. 25-20. 50. 10. 5. Lindsey stop. Lindsey stop. Lindsey stop. Well, I can't believe it. 92 yards, and Lindsey really got in a foot race. I broke my chair. I came right through a chair, a metal steel chair with about a 5-inch cushion. I broke it. The booth came apart. The stadium fell down. Now they do have to renovate this thing. They'll have to rebuild it now. I didn't mean to beg Lindsey to run, but I had to. You know, this game has always been called the world's greatest cocktail party. Do you know what is going to happen here tonight and up at St. Simon's and Jekyll Island and all those places? Man, is there going to be some property destroyed tonight. 26-21. Dogs on top. We were gone. I gave up. You did too. Miracle.
Armchair.